Okay, that bit seems to be working. Bear with me one moment. That needs to go to there, and Pickle. There we go.
Stop the coot now.
So I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but OBS decided it was going to dump all the sound settings. Joy.
So are we still connected?
We're still connected. It's working now. I'm not.
How long did it explode? Did it explode like the entire time we were just talking?
Not sure. I don't think so.
Should we check that?
Never mind. Just carry on and pretend it didn't happen. By trying to transition into something that made some sense. Where were we?
Yeah, we're Monster Huntering.
We were Monster Huntering. So yes, the Behemoth crossover event. Yeah, we fought the dumb googly-eyed chicken thing and won, despite ourselves.
Eventually, it took an awful long time.
But yes, the fight with Behemoth himself. Now, you do fight him twice. The first time you just need to repel him, and you can do that solo, in theory. It gives you 9 KOs for this fight, by the way. And you're going to need all of them if you're doing it solo.
Well, I mean, I presume that it's that like most monsters in Monster Hunter, it's quite easily soloable once you've done them a gajillion times.
Good odds, yeah.
But it's a different sort of fight to what you usually do, because it's modelled pretty closely on Behemoth fights from Final Fantasy XIV.
Mm-hmm.
So it acts in similar ways. But he's a Nergigante style body. It has a lot of like Nergigante style physical attacks, but he casts spells like a Final Fantasy boss.
Yep. Not to mention, he also just randomly throws around tornadoes because reasons.
Yeah, that's really obnoxious, much like it is when Kushal Daora does it, except
a lot worse.
This guy's... Yeah, well, the thing is that in this case, the tornadoes are covering up things like, incoming meteors, that kind of thing.
Comets.
And he has an aggro fixate mechanic that no other monster in Monster Hunter has, where he just, decides to mark someone for death, and anybody else in the party basically has to run around flinging life powder at him and hope that they can do so fast enough for him to survive.
Yep. Not to mention the mechanic where every now and again he'll do his big attack, which is the Ecliptic Meteor. During the fight, he throws out comets, which will just leave a big rock laying around on the ground. But once he's done that for a few times, he'll throw out the Ecliptic Meteor, which is massively telegraphed, and it will one-shot anybody it hits. The only way of surviving it is hiding behind the rocks, the meteors. Which means you need to not smash those rocks during the fight and not let Behemoth smash them while you're fighting him.
Yeah.
Which, it's easier said than done because he's an enormous jerkface and tends to run around all over the place.
He is really, really large. I would say he's probably the largest monster in the game that isn't, what's it called? Fatty. Golden Fatty.
Golden Fatty, yes.
Whose name I can't remember all of a sudden.
Yeah. So Kulve-Taroth, yeah, that's the one. So the fight is intended to be done by at least 3 players, from what I can tell. A tank, a healer, and a DPS, if you can manage it. Again,
although
never been done in Monster Hunter before.
Yeah, supposedly you can build aggro by slapping him in the face, but I haven't had a great deal of success actually pulling that off. Although I have noticed when he has decided to fixate me, it's usually after I've gotten done wailing on his face.
Yeah.
Mainly for the sake of wailing on his face. His face isn't actually a weak point as far as I can tell.
It's supposed to be. His head
It's a weak point sometimes.
Yeah.
And I found that his forelegs are a more reliable weak point to hit.
Yeah, I found that as well. So, as a hammer bro, I'm meant to wail on his head. But he holds it up so high most of the time that But whenever he does lower it, he's usually winding up for something nasty.
That's the big difficulty with hitting specific parts of this guy is his sheer size.
Yeah. So, I found that trying to do leaping attacks on him works to a degree until he wises up and he just starts hitting you out of the air with meteors.
And much like Devil Joe, often the safest place to be is under him.
Yeah, for a given value of safe.
The thing is that he can cast meteors under him, so you need to watch your feet.
Yes. So, yeah, if you beat him, you get to build the Dragoon armor. Worn by Kane Highwind and everyone who's ever played a Dragoon in Final Fantasy XIV. Because it's cool and pointy.
It's a really nice model. Like, it's swankier than the one that's in FF14 because of engine limitations, and FF14 are more stringent than in Monster Hunter. So it's a really nice set, but I don't know if I can be bothered actually farming for it, considering how hard it is to kill Behemoth.
I wouldn't want to pug it. Let's put it that way.
I don't know, is the assault on the Reddit about people being bad in pugs?
Oh my yes! Apparently, according to Reddit, the correct way to handle his Ecliptic Meteor is whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing, and gawp at Behemoth. Then get carted. That is the universal correct way to handle it.
Yeah, that sounds credible. Sounds credible.
Yeah. I want to have another crack at him. I'm not sure we can... none of us have a support build, so running around and actually playing a proper support is not going to be easy. Like, I've got a hammer, and I've got wide range on my ice set.
You pretty much got to use a bow gun with healing bullets, don't you, to keep somebody alive. If Behemoth really, really wants you dead, you'll be dead.
Yeah,
like the only reason that I've ever managed to survive fixates is because it just so happened that I was miles away from him when he decided to trigger his fixate.
Yeah.
In other circumstances, it's usually not quite so straightforward.
No, if he's within range, he will eat your face.
Yeah, you'll have a bad time.
You're going to have a bad time. So yeah, it's been enjoyable at least. Like, there's some really neat touches in there, like when you do hit Behemoth, instead of using the usual damage numbers, it comes up using the font from Final Fantasy XIV.
Well, it's similar to the font from Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same one.
It's
close,
it
also has like attack names and stuff will come up in the floating combat text.
Yes, which don't normally happen. Which I just found that to be a really nice touch.
Yeah, and it's got like the same sort of announcements that you've entered a particular mission or whatever, like a dungeon, for instance, that Final Fantasy 14 has.
Mm-hmm.
It's got those that come up. There's FF14 music in the central hub once you're well and truly on the quest, and so on and so forth.
The fact that you fight the Kula Yaku to the Chocobo theme.
Yeah, I loved that.
I got a good laugh at that.
just that made the fight much more entertaining than it would have been with normal music.
Yeah, it totally did. Even the Good King Mogomog theme gets played briefly when the Moogle first shows up, which is basically Nightmare Before Christmas. There's no hiding it. That's what that
I'm
theme
surprised that they haven't been sued for that, considering Disney's propensity to sue everyone for everything.
Yeah, they are a bit lawsuit happy. Oh no, we're going to get sued now, aren't we? Damn it.
Yes, we are.
Yes. So overall, a very, very fun, not to mention incredibly tough event. I just hope the people on the Final Fantasy side are having as much difficulty with the Rathalos. Though, I'm kind of disappointed. I want to do that thing because you get a Rathalos mount in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, but
I kind of want that.
I don't really want to sign up to another MMO for that. Like, I really do love Final Fantasy XIV, and I'd love to spend more time playing it, but it's not really practical.
No.
I don't have that sort of time. What's the pity?
Such a shame, such a shame. Alright, what else did I do this week? Not a whole lot. Watched a little bit of anime. After Vol's glowing recommendations, I went and watched all of what's been put out so far of Cells at Work. I'm glad I did. That was a very, very fun anime. Education has never been quite so gory.
Yeah, they really aren't shy about spilling blood.
Nope. Oh boy.
Which makes me wonder, are there smaller red blood cells inside the blood?
I was wondering that, because hang on, how deep does this go?
We must go deeper.
Yeah.
Cellception.
Like, they're cells, but they look like people. Are they also self-contained organisms? With their own little city inside them? Filled with weirdos?
The fan favourite seems to be the platelets.
I was... considering what platelets do, I was kind of expecting, big burly workers or something. I was not expecting... Kindergartners, no. Yet they still seem to perform the same function. And they're adorable at it. It's weird. It's incredibly off-putting. It's so adorable. Oh no, they've just built an entire scaffold out of people.
Yes, they have.
But they're so cute. So yeah, recommend it. It's not one to take overly seriously, but yeah, you can actually learn something. Namely the name of different types of cells. And what they do. Or what they're supposed to do, and what they do when they break. I did watch the allergy episode. Was just nonsense all the way through.
Yeah, I was sort of when I looked at the preview for the previous episode, I was like, man, how are they going to do that? Allergies are sort of like they're a failing of the body's systems. They're not really. It's not really an outside invader. It's sort of. How are they going to interpret this? Since the thing invading you is basically harmless, and your body's overreacting like a spaz. And yes, they just had quite impressively.
They had everybody running around like a spaz.
Yeah, it was basically like end of the world hysteria.
And at the end of the world, because a steroid robot turned up and destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of. I just thought because hang on, that robot is that robot what I think it is? Yes, it was. So yeah, highly recommend that one.
I like the diversity of presentation and the various white blood cells as well.
Well, yeah, you've got, good God, the lymphocytes. They're JoJo ripoffs, or JoJo rejects rather. Secret Agent
and
JoJo
macrophages. Macrophages.
Macrophage, yes, the nice sweet maid with the gigantic cleaver. I'm going to have to keep watching this. It is ridiculous and yet strangely entertaining. Educational.
Edutaining.
Edutainment is not a thing that should ever work.
I don't know. Most of the anime edutainment that I've watched has actually been relatively entertaining as well.
Yeah, I can get.
Even if they take some liberties.
Well, yeah. Maybe it's just because they tend not to take themselves nearly as seriously as Western edutainment tries to.
I think that it's because it's not actually targeted at children. Like, they haven't gone out of their way to dumb anything down.
Yeah, that might be it.
Like, they assume that people are going to be able to make the internal leaps of logic to make it make sense on their own without being handheld through it.
Yeah, like, oh no, red blood cell doesn't look like a cute little girl in a red beret. No, it's a kind of red blobby squishy thing.
Yeah, well, people know that.
Yes.
People know that a cell and a person aren't the same thing.
Yes. Not like Western edutainment where it's, okay, now we've stopped, we're having fun. We've got to stop for 10 minutes and explain what's actually going on.
And heaven forbid you have a very special episode.
Oh.
Let's not with the special episodes. Let's not.
No. Magic School
In
Bus,
any
anyone?
sense, no context in which the word special episode comes up is this a good idea.
No.
There's about 3 different flavors of them, and none of them are good.
Oh boy. So yeah, I'm going to give a glowing recommendation to that because it is just nonsense. Educational nonsense. What else did I watch this week? Not a whole lot, unfortunately. I continued on with my Hero Aka, and Hero Aka continues to be Hero Aka. And by that, I mean good.
Yeah, it's just pretty solid shonen all round, and it deserves its position. Like it's the sort of kids show that I think is like polished enough that I would actually let my kids watch it. Like they aren't going to be consuming total garbage with bad writing. They aren't going to be learning terrible habits.
Cartoon Network, anyone?
Unless they copy anything that Minato does.
Yeah, don't do that. Although I do love the just the dynamic between Minato and Sue. But yeah, Hero Aka, it doesn't excuse me, it doesn't do anything particularly new, but what it does do, it's always done well.
Yeah, I think it mainly just hits a sort of a nostalgic sweet spot for a lot of people without wallowing in nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's basically a superhero show. It's about superheroing, and it holds in esteem things that should be held in esteem, and looks down on things that should be looked down on. Like It's not trying to be subversive. Like I think that's the biggest problem in entertainment media today is everybody's obsessed with subversion.
Yes, please stop. Ugh.
Something doesn't actually become better because it's a subversion. Like it has to be better in its own right. Subversion is not cruise control for cool.
No, except for cartoons and things like that aimed at kids lately. It seems like everything's just being dumbed down to the point of meaninglessness. Blah. Like the Teen Titans Go happened, and now everything is following that formula.
Everything that gets put on Cartoon Network has the same art style, and it's hideous.
Yeah, need we go on about the Thundercats reboot again?
Can we not?
Let's not. It fills me with disgust.
That happened?
Well, the thing is that's just another symptom. It's like the Adventure Time has the same aesthetic, and so does Gravity Falls, and so does any number of these other things that have come out. Like every single one of them uses the exact same art style as all of the others. Not a trace of imagination has been deployed. Even things that are aimed squarely at adults, like even grotesque things like Rick and Morty, still are attached to that art style.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of like deformed noodle people art style.
I really do not like Rick and Morty. Ugh.
No, Rick and Morty is an awful show. All of the characters are awful. All of the themes are awful. The animation is awful. The writing is awful. Every part of Rick and Morty is quite bad.
And yet people still come up to me and say, you should like watching Rick and Morty because it's weird and you like weird things.
It's virtue signaling for nerd culture, basically. Because, well, geek culture is not something that has anything to do with geeks anymore. Yeah. Geek culture indicates that you buy your identity in a loot box. So it's not really... Rick and Morty is like the cartoon version of Ready Player One. Like,
yeah, someone tried to tell me I should watch... It would have been okay if I couldn't solve the mystery in like a minute.
But the book was bad.
It was also bad, but yeah.
I've not seen the movie, but that was a terrible book. I just need to reiterate this for like the 5th time on the show in case people decide they might want to go read that book. That was not a good book.
The thing is that people that like it because they feel they're supposed to as part of an identity. They didn't didn't scrutinize the media on its own merits, because if you do, there's nothing to like there. It's just it's the bad kind of wallowing in nostalgia. It's what member berries were making fun of.
I remember.
The the slavery superhero book was better than Ready Player One.
The 5 superheroes go to college was better than Ready Player One.
But yeah, the long and short of it is that Western animation is absolutely deep in the porcelain throne right now. There's nothing to be found of value there at all. Period.
Yeah,
I've not seen anything anyway. Like, there was sort of like a bright spot when My Little Pony came out that maybe somebody can actually animate something in a marginally different style and add some marginally coherent writing to it, some genuinely funny humor, some decent voice acting, and put together a show that is accessible to all ages, from very, very young to mature audiences. But no, that didn't last.
No.
Eventually, the market got crowded up again with more Drek.
Yeah,
it must be just super cheap to make all this crap like Steven Universe, because all you have to do is hire a social justice writer who can't get a job outside of McDonald's, so will work for anything, and then they can just write some quote unquote diverse tripe and then add some completely lazy animation to it done by somebody who can't draw to save themselves, and then you've got a show. So
it's a cycle we've seen over and over again. Like, a successful show comes along with a certain style, like, Adventure Time came along and it had that weird spaghetti people style, and everybody just starts aping it and expecting to be successful as well. And that never works. Ever.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It's just a bad idea. Stop doing it.
Please stop. Gravity Falls came along, and it was weird and had mysteries. Just because your show is weird and has a mystery, which is who ate the cookie, does not mean it's going to be good.
I thought it used to be that it was mainly Nickelodeon that did the really weird stuff.
It used to be.
It seems like what was previously considered really weird stuff is now sort of, well, actually that was kind of gross, but it's sort of mainstream now. Now the weird stuff is all sort of putting on a pantomime of being weird stuff. Like, it's got weird stuff in neon lights with capital letters written on it so that you know that it's weird.
Yeah. There's no more Ren and Stimpies or anything like that where it's just really nasty.
I saw a gif of Rocko's Modern Life recently.
That show, I'm not sure why I was allowed to watch that as a kid. Because going back...
I don't think I was.
It had a wallaby in it.
Yeah, a wallaby. Yes.
I think it was a wallaby. Was it a wallaby?
Yeah, he was a wallaby. Rocko was a wallaby. But, oh my, no. That show, it was nasty.
It was very, very strange.
Yeah, yep, it was.
It was Ren and Stimpy strange, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh boy. So yeah, I kind of weep for Western animation at the moment. Like, Teen Titans Go made an absurd amount of money, even though it destroyed a much-loved franchise. They did the same thing with Ben 10 and ruined that, and now they're doing the same thing with Thundercats.
Oh, did you hear supposedly they're holding the original Teen Titans show hostage behind Teen Titans Go? They need some Teen Titans Go thing to do well to consider maybe reviving it.
But they're two entirely different audiences.
I don't understand the logic behind it either, but apparently the Teen Titans Go movie had a post-credits scene that said something that the point of was, if you buy enough tickets to this movie, maybe we'll consider putting out the original Teen Titans again.
Actually, I looked at little bits and pieces from that movie, and the whole premise is nobody likes us because we're Teen Titans Go. They want the original Teen Titans. So we're going to go out and disappoint the world. That's the plot of the movie.
I see.
So yeah, everyone's telling them, you guys are not the real Teen Titans. You're terrible. We're going to go save the day without you. It's actually quite a rather enjoyable teardown of their own terribleness. Yeah.
I just saw the Reddit post talking about the post-credit scene. I didn't actually see any parts of the movie.
Yeah, because the salt is real. Oh boy. Anyway, I'm going to call it there for my week. So, Vols, what have you got?
I don't have very much this week. Again, it was another super busy week with the opening of the Bobby Calf season.
Nah.
Yeah, all the Bobby calves are slaughtered, meaning that by volume there's a whole bunch more slaughtering going on. Therefore, sampling requirements have gone up. Therefore, there's a pile more work for me to do.
Yep, little bits of meat. Enjoy that.
Yeah. I'm so tired of little bits of meat.
At least it's readily identifiable as meat.
It's too readily identifiable as particular pieces.
Oh dear. They just give you a chunk of cow.
So this is a tongue, and this is a heart, and this is a kidney, and this is a liver.
Can you tell us what's in it?
It's the penis.
Wait,
sometimes it's a
why?
penis. Because people eat every kind of offal. Every kind.
I guess.
Every kind.
That's just weird.
Every kind. Yes.
You seem to be going into some sort of shock there.
I'm traumatized, okay? Just leave me be.
By running lab tests on cow dongs. Right.
I can't do anything about it.
Nope.
Anyway, so most of my game time, as usual, ends up getting routed via lightning rod into FGO, since it doesn't take any effort and I can play it on the bus. So the summer event has continued. I have completed the summer storyline. I have gotten my Assassin Scathach, plus all of the Ascension items, plus all of the Noble Phantasm copies. So my Scathach is ready to be leveled. And since I had 110 gold Assassin EXP cards, I dumped all those in there as well. So she's like level 50 or 60 now.
Nice.
I don't have an AoE assassin, so she's useful in that context, but she's kind of a wonky servant other than that. Like, I wouldn't put her on a content clearing team. Like, she would easily go into a farming team when I know I'm going to be fighting casters, but I wouldn't put her in a content clear team because she's weird. Her skill set is weird.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't know what type of servant she is at all. I can't think of a real good way to exploit her. Maybe if you have high leveled up versions of all of the servants, there might be a particular team that she does well on. But from what I can tell, it's pretty much she's got a taunt, which also increases your critical damage.
Okay.
Go figure. I don't understand how those two things fit together. But yeah, you're an assassin. You attract all of the damage from the entire opposing wave, plus you increase your crit. She's got a modest health recovery, damage reduction for 1 turn, so that's your tanking skill, I guess. I suppose you meant to pair it with the first skill, except it's not really strong enough to serve as a tanking skill on its own.
Right.
And since it's targeted, a lot of the time you're going to want to use it on somebody else who needs the health or the damage reduction or whatever. So that would lead, if you actually do take advantage of the ability to use it on someone else, it makes the ability to taunt suddenly a lot more useless. And the third skill gives you ignore invincibility and increases your quick performance. So basically, it's a pure DPS skill.
Right.
So yeah, so she's got a support skill, a DPS skill, and a tanking skill. And yeah, I don't really know what you're supposed to do with that particular combo. But yeah, since I don't have Saber Shiki, and I think that she's the main other AoE insta-kill servant, but her death chance is really low, so you can't really count on it. Like, even if you manage to get her to 500%, she's still only going to have a 70% chance to kill things. But she's got passable damage for an assassin, an AoE assassin, so yeah, for farming, I think she'll do the job fine, especially since I don't have any of the other AoE assassins, which people typically use, like Shooting Doji is probably the most commonly used one.
Mm-hmm. Banana Oni.
But yeah, it's another no, Banana Oni is Ibaraki Doji.
Oh right, yes.
Banana Oni is a Berserker.
Yes.
But yeah, generally speaking, I don't think I'll use her much because most of the situations where I would use her, I would probably just as soon use Kirihime. And Kirihime apparently doesn't want to leave me alone. So
yeah, the gacha was actually nice to you for a change.
Yeah, I think I talked about that last week. But
yep.
Yeah, so I've got Kirihime, but the gacha was good to me again this week because the next banner that I wanted to roll on came up. I had allocated 6 10 pulls to try and get Martha. But I managed to get Martha, and I managed to get Archer Artoria, who's like the best arts damage funnel in the game, basically, for everything except Lancers.
She's completely bonkers.
Yeah, she is completely bonkers. Like, I only have 1 copy of her, and I am extremely grateful that I was blessed with 1 copy of her. But there is a person on my friends list who obviously went full whale, because that person has Noble Phantasm level 5 Archer Artoria, which basically means that they've continually funneled money into the game until they got 5 copies of Artoria. But I borrowed it to see how powerful it was, and it is completely off the chain. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I have the perfect arts support servant, and I have the perfect arts damage funnel. But borrowing a maxed out version of the perfect arts damage funnel, like, she is able to Noble Phantasm something for like 250,000 damage into a Arts Brave chain, and that will do the Brave chain will add like another 100,000 onto that, and that will charge her Noble Phantasm from 0 to 150 within the span of that combo, and then you can do it again. So yeah, I did like the better part of 1 million damage over 2 turns with 1 servant.
Wait, are we back in the raid events again? Those numbers should not work.
No, we're not. No, we're not. And if I was using it in the raid events, the numbers would be an awful lot higher. but yeah, it's she's bonkers powerful. She's much less powerful at Noble Phantasm 1 than Noble Phantasm 2, because a lot of her skills don't really come into their own until you've got access to Overcharge Bar, because she's, I think, one of the first servant who can spend Noble Phantasm as a resource.
Okay.
So you can overcharge, and then you can use your overcharge as a resource to heal yourself.
Neat.
But, of course, if you've only got Noble Phantasm rank 1, then you can't overcharge. So you can't ever Noble Phantasm and use the heal in the same turn. Though, you know, things like Waver can solve that problem, for instance. But yeah, she's still super powerful. Great pull. Very pleased to get her. I also pulled Nursery Rhyme, who is a sort of a very solid middle-of-the-road AoE DPS caster. And I don't have anything even remotely resembling an AoE DPS caster, or a DPS caster for that matter. So yeah, glad to get her. Hopefully can find some time to farm up some XP for her, because it would be very useful to have something like that in the kit. And I also got Carmilla, who I don't care about at all. There's basically no situation where I would take Carmilla that I wouldn't take Shiki instead. Like, I would take Shiki any day over her, and twice on Thursdays. Like, it's just, Shiki's better, and Shiki's an arts funnel as well, so I've got better support for her. Yeah, but I'm glad that the curse has been broken. I'm still, given the amount of St. Quartz that I've spent, I'm still sort of a bit behind the curve in terms of overall luck, but it's not like comically bad anymore. It's just, you know, a bit average. Yeah, I'm in the a bit average zone now, instead of the that's actually absurd, and the odds of you being that unlucky are incredibly remote. So, yeah, I'm glad to be out of that. So, yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to handle leveling Martha. Martha's sort of a one-size-fits-all servant, and I kind of wanted her because there are a lot of situations in which I don't really have a good game plan because I've got limited selections of other things.
Mm-hmm.
And Martha basically, takes low damage from everything because she's a ruler, and against certain particular targets does spectacular damage because she's got a lot of buff versus type sorts of skills.
Yep.
Which work, again, particularly well in events like Onigashima, for instance, because when it's limited to a type, it tends to be extremely powerful. Like her Jacob's Limbs skill increases her damage versus Demon, Divine, and Undead. At level 1, it increases it by 50%.
Whee!
Level 10, 100%. So, yeah, that's
a little bit
pretty
crazy,
hefty.
yes. Oh, hello, Cat.
Yeah. But yeah, generally, she also has the same sort of waterfront ability that they all have, where she can buff her attack by a modest amount and charge her Noble Phantasm in her case by a modest amount as well. So yeah, she's just a very powerful general purpose hitter. Will never have class advantage pretty much, but it will work well enough against like most things. So yeah. It's expensive to level up her skills, though.
Oh, yes.
Because you require an absolutely colossal number of skill gems. Which it's a case. She's like the case of these materials are super common, but you're going to need a small mountain of them. But yeah, the hard part will be getting the secret gems. Like secret gems are pretty much. I'm glad that I went all out and got a pile of secret gems really early on, in Kara no Kyokai, because there haven't been that many secret gems that I've been able to get since then. Usually when they've appeared in events, I haven't been able to get to them because I'm going to need a lot of them. Yeah, the second half of the event was very, very, very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. I haven't finished all of the events stuff. I finished the main storyline, but some of the side stories I haven't done yet. Because I haven't had time, but there's still like summon tickets are available for me. I decided after getting all of the things that I wanted after 4 pulls on the 10 pull, I decided to blow the last 2 that I had budgeted anyway, just in case I could get a second copy. I didn't get a second copy, which is a little bit disappointing, but I did get some other stuff that I needed, and I conserved all of the tickets that I budgeted as well, so I still have 40-odd tickets in the bank. And I think I've got 110 St. Quartz and 42 tickets right now, and those are basically going to be banked and put aside for Prisma Causeway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still in two minds about Prisma Causeway because Ilya is not a valuable servant to me for any reason other than I'm a fan of the anime. Like that's pretty much the only reason. And there are other things that I would also like to get. So yeah, I think that the ideal pull would probably be Nero Bride, a really powerful support saber with a DPS single target arts Noble Phantasm.
Yep.
Like that's probably the ideal pull. And so I'm sort of like weighing up whether or not I want to try and hold on for that banner, because that's also not like appallingly far away. But yeah, I doubt I've got that sort of discipline. Maybe I do.
I don't know.
Maybe I don't. But so yeah, Nero Festival rerun will probably be the last event before Halloween, or maybe the first one after Halloween. No, I'd say last before Halloween, probably.
Right.
If I had to guess.
Hey, I could always use more regular Neros.
Yeah. But a lot of the top end players are really looking forward to it, because even though it's not one designed for top end, apparently it's got some really, really, really hard battles in it that really test the top players and their ability to pull off things that are completely ridiculous.
Nice.
So
is one of those battles putting up with the obligatory pop song competition?
It is Nero, so there's probably going to be a pop song competition in there at some point.
Yeah,
like, I would be very surprised if Liz didn't feature prominently in some capacity. But
yeah, I still haven't finished
there's a lot of
E Pluribus Unum yet, but from my understanding is things are getting too heavy. So here's Nero and Liz for no apparent reason.
Yeah, and then things get heavy all over again. Like, it's kind of rough. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that people are looking forward to in that. I think that Nero Bride gets added to one of the banners, but I don't know which or when. I hope so anyway, because that's one of the ones that would be really effective to get.
Yeah, nice.
There's also, I think there's some. I think that there's some particular craft essences, I think, that are really good in the meta for certain particular things. I'm not quite sure exactly. But yeah. What else? I don't think that I really did much else. I managed to find a little bit of time to play Shining Resonance, and it's not... It's organised in a very weird and slightly sloppy way, in that last night I ended up getting embroiled in a mess of like an hour of running around town, triggering additional social events with characters, and not doing any actual... Like, I was not progressing the story. I was not fighting monsters. I was just viewing, like... It was basically the equivalent of in a Tales game, just viewing skit after skit after skit after skit. Because somehow the progression of these little town events was not really connected to storyline progression, main storyline progression, so they could just get sort of randomly triggered by being in town.
Right.
And so you would like, you rest at the inn, a bunch will spawn, you go and talk to all these people and see their little events, and then you rest at the inn and a bunch more will spawn, and it took me ages to exhaust them all. I figured that it would be a situation where, you trigger a story event, then all of the ones pertinent to that stage will appear, you do them, and then no more will appear until you do the next story event. Apparently not. It's more like everything that can possibly happen in that chapter all spawns at once, and random ones get distributed around the town every time you enter it.
Oh, good luck, man.
Yeah, it took me ages to get through it. But they are kind of entertaining. They do add a bit of depth to some of the characters that don't really get that much of it otherwise. But yeah, it's still... I think that it's still not quite up to par with some of the really better JRPGs that I played. But it's not Neptunia tier. But it's not the best. Like, you can take that how you want. Neptunia either being referred to as being extremely great or extremely bad, but...
I see it as both simultaneously.
Yeah, and in their own unique ways. But,
yes.
Yeah, I don't think I have really done much else. I mean, I watched the usual anime. It's not a great season, and I keep being reminded of that every time I sit down to watch anime. So I flick through them and it's like, yeah, it's okay, but I don't think I was really looking forward to it in a conventional sense. Like, there are some anime that I'm really eager to see the next episode, and Hiroaka is sort of like that. Like, I really want to see how the next episode will be done.
Yes.
Whereas in the case of a lot of the other seasonal stuff, it's like, yeah, that's the thing, I guess. Yeah, that happened. But yeah, it's not great. Like, a lot of them are quite watchable. Like the Homes of Kyoto one, like, that's quite watchable. It's not good. It's not bad. It's watchable. Overlord is quite good.
Mm.
I'm enjoying the third major season of Overlord. It does seem a little bit like it doesn't really know what story it's trying to tell, but I feel like what I'm actually seeing is a division of light novels. Like the reason why it sits in one character arc for so long, it doesn't seem to be directly related to the other goings on, probably because it was a major part of a book or something like that.
Mm.
But the other characters in the world are all very interesting, so I don't actually feel that bad that it drifts away from paying attention to the cast of Nazareth, who are the central figures early on. Though there's a lot of other dangling plot threads that I'm like, oh, well, I really like this particular story, but I'm sort of interested to see what will happen when we get back to that particular story and whatnot. Like the princess of the local kingdom is a real weirdo. Like a real weirdo on the tier of sort of like manipulative nastiness of some of the villainous characters that live in Nazareth, but she's sort of like superficially she's like the beloved princess and everybody's idol, but
Right.
just underneath the surface she's a super genius with a malevolent streak a mile wide.
Oh dear.
And she doesn't use it for mass scale villainy. She's basically a sociopath. She doesn't like care anything about anybody else really, and her main obsession is to have particular people that she values completely dependent on her and fawn over her.
Right.
So about to yeah, I knew that was coming. I didn't know when it was coming.
Sneezes are a trap.
Yeah, so there's a lot of there's a whole plot line built around her and around the a young soldier who she saved, who idolizes her, doesn't realize that he's basically been cultivated to idolize her because she basically gets off on that kind of thing.
And that's just made things extremely creepy.
Yeah. And it's but he's a total straight arrow. He's the sort of he would be a standard generic high fantasy protagonist in any other story.
Oh dear. But
he fights using shonen power basically. Like because the world of Overlord is sort of like extrapolated from a MMO, although it's not an MMO. It's not like in Sword Art Online or even like in Log Horizon where there are game artifacts that are directly influencing the world. Like the fact is that the game artifacts are rapidly fading into the background. So while they have levels and special abilities and things, he's basically the sort of person whose fundamental capacity is not very good. Like he at best can be a decent soldier, but of course he wants to be his princess's hero. So he basically has to fight using shonen power, like determination and his desire to protect and that has some
shouting,
some degree of effect and so on. So he basically acts in a protagonist-like fashion, but he's basically a pawn.
Mm-hmm.
So. And he's got his own storyline where he's being mentored by a couple of people, one of which is like the guard captain. He's like the best warrior in the kingdom sort of thing, but he's being the best warrior amongst the mooks is not necessarily that great on the scale of like the people from Nazareth, for instance. And then there's another guy who was like the rival of the best warrior in the kingdom, except he had a run-in with the vampiress that is from Nazareth, and then realized that the world is full of monsters that are like massive orders of magnitude more powerful than him at his best, and he basically has a mental breakdown over that, and he gradually recovers. So there's lots of side stories that are pretty deep for other characters that would be throwaways in most anime. And that's just one little group of them. There's another group of like a village of lizard people. There's another group which is people who got embroiled in the main characters, the big lich guys, adventures very early on. He ran into them and he basically was experimenting with his ability to interact with other people and whatnot. And he ended up basically making their town his sort of pet. in that he basically, this is my territory, and I'm giving this random town girl this ridiculously OP magic item, and so that she can protect herself in her town because this is on my territory. And basically ends up sort of creating a very weird utopian situation in that town. But yeah, there's a lot of plot threads that are just sort of floating about that are all very interesting, but I can't work out what the central plot is at all. But yeah, I enjoy the beach volleyball anime. Mainly for its straightforwardness. It's super generic.
It doesn't really try to be anything it's not.
No, it doesn't try to be. It doesn't try to be super dramatic or anything like that. It's just sort of like the classic shonen approach of, you know, trusting in your partner or whatever.
Yeah.
At the sport, and then doing real well
because
of that. And that they don't. I was a bit worried that they would breach the wall of suspension of disbelief, but no, they let the main characters win their first round and then lose every other round of the first tournament, which is about what I expect an optimistic shonen sports anime to do. They have a great victory. They basically break some new ground. They overcome some challenges in the first round, and they get demolished by all the people who are like legitimately experienced. So yeah, I think that they're balancing the power of the group relatively well, which is always the concern, because you want them to be underdogs and you also want them to be victors.
Yeah.
But the moment that you give them too much victory, they're no longer underdogs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that they've got the balancing act about right in that one. And the cheesecake is relatively tasteful insofar as it can be.
As tasteful as cheesecake gets, you mean?
Yeah, like it's still like you don't make a anime about beach volleyball and expect the viewers to be totally disinterested in the characters' appearances.
Yeah,
that would be silly. It would be a silly expectation. But it's not. It's not the camera is not used in a lingering pervy way.
Yes, it doesn't have one place it stays.
Yeah, and the while all of the female characters are of course live athletes, they are still all shapes and sizes. It's not like Senran Kagura where everybody has the same build. So
same absurd build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got you know all of your flat tops, and you've got the few really busty characters, though always within human reason, not Senran Kagura, and then you've got sort of every gradation in between. So generally speaking, their figures are believable if you've got that conceit that, well, they're all athletes, so they're all going to be within a certain range.
Mm-hmm.
What else have I been watching? The isekais are still bad.
Oh, yes.
And some of them are gradually getting worse, and some of them are gradually stabilizing in the gutter.
Ugh.
So, I mean, I don't know whether you consider that to be positive or negative. It's stabilized in the gutter. So it isn't sinking down. It's not getting any better.
I don't know, honestly. It's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not good. And they're the other kind of cheesecake, so yeah.
Yeah.
But it is lingering. It is pervy. One of them is more honest than the other one. The other one wants to make everything about incest without being about incest.
Oh, there's always one. Every season there is one anime.
That's a step up. Good. Let's go down to zero now.
I think that there's only one this time. I think that, well, that's probably wrong. But I would have to analyze things deeper than I would like in order to determine the precise accuracy of something.
Yes, but yeah, could you analyze it deeper without throwing up? That's the question.
No, that's why I haven't.
Yeah,
the reason I haven't, because it's dangerous territory.
Yeah,
but yeah. not really sure that there's anything else that I really have been following. I just kept watching Black Clover, and they're just having another big scrap right now. So, like, I'm totally
Scrap
cool with
or screaming match? It is Black Clover.
that. Bit of both, really.
Yeah.
Bit of both. Like, but the thing is that yelling at people is normal in shonen.
True, but
Like,
there are limits.
yeah, Esther's not at the center of the current fight. Like, he's
Oh, okay, so it's relatively quiet then.
he's doing the Luffy and Zoro thing right now, which is running towards the fight for great lengths of time. Unlike Luffy and Zoro, though, he actually has an excellent sense of direction. So he probably won't be running for multiple episodes. I think he was just running for one episode.
Okay.
People try to tell me that show's actually starting to shape up, but I'm like, you greatly underestimate how hard it is to get over the human caps lock machine as a barrier to start watching.
Uh-huh.
Like the thing is that I think the show's big weakness is Asta, and it's not just that he's shouty. Like, that's just a superficial thing. The problem is that Asta doesn't change the way, say, Naruto does. Like, Naruto's also a human caps lock machine, not quite as bad as Asta, but Naruto's sort of like, while his outlook is the same at the end as it is at the beginning, he has to grow up.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good enough for him to be a bratty kid the entire time. He has to go through hell and back again, eventually.
That bratty kidness comes back and bites him on the butt time and time again, initially.
Well, in the case of Asta, though, like, all he has to do is get stronger so far. Like, he's Son Goku, basically. Like, he never grows up. He never gets more mature. He's just gets stronger.
And shoutier.
Whether or not that will continue indefinitely, it's sort of hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Like, we're still in the, he probably his next lesson is probably learn to count on your friends sort of tier of thing.
Yeah.
But you see more character development from Noel than you do from Asta. So, Planet With has been really weird.
I was going to make an Oxyctoris joke, but I can't. I'm too sick.
Planet With has been like, it's more interesting than I expected, but
all right,
it's not quite all the way grab your attention interesting. It's sort of like reheated dinner tasty as opposed to freshly cooked dinner tasty. I'm not sure precisely what it is, but something about it feels very much like I've watched the same show before in some form. But yeah, it's just not quite, something missing there. I'm not really sure what it is. The basic plot seems to be that humanity is progressing, generally speaking, and there seems to be, when viewed from the outside by like higher races, there seems like there are two major paths of development for a sentient race that they are terming like the path of power and the path of love, or something like that. And apparently the sort of the most powerful extant race has basically decided, well, has split into two factions, basically. One faction that has decided that they've got a duty to seal the evolution of any race that skews too sharply in the direction of the path of power, since that invariably creates intergalactic war as soon as they can leave their particular sphere of influence. And there's another faction, the pacifist faction, who prefers a much more resource intensive but less interventionist approach of basically sabotaging any major sources of particular war power that are developed, and sort of like subtly try and nudge them in the direction of choosing a more peaceful path instead of just, getting involved in an interplanetary arms race or something.
Or screwing up with their genetics, I suppose.
But it seems like basically they're using some sort of weird mind rape approach. If the sealing faction are using some weird mind rape approach where they send very, very strange spaceships, I guess you can call them, as invaders, and those humans which have the power to fight against them are basically they will be presented with an idealized dream world, basically, and they can defeat the ship by rejecting the dream in favor of real life. But if they sink into it instead, when they come back, they will end up basically being individuals who lack any kind of ambition.
Right. It's kind of weird.
So, basically the ship, losing to the dream basically kills the shonenness in you.
Right.
Is the easiest way to summarize it. But yeah, and the interesting thing being that the story isn't told from the perspective of the invaders or the invaded. It's told from this perspective of one kid who's from another planet that basically got wrecked by going down the path of war. And he was basically brought by the peaceful faction to Earth to be their soldier in the war against the Sealing faction.
Right.
But the thing is, the kid's got a humongous axe to grind against anybody who uses the powers, which basically killed everything that he knew. So basically, it's a standard kid mecha pilot who's totally screwed up in the head.
Oh, yeah.
Except he's not part of any of the major factions. He's just following his own agenda in a rather reckless way.
He's just kind of there.
Yeah, the show's a little bit messy. I'm not really sure where it's going or what it wants to do. And the ships are really weird. Like, really, really weird. The mecha are within range of normal mecha, although they're far more creative than average mecha.
Right.
But the ships, my goodness. Like, one of them was like, what was it? It's like a bowl of rice with an unconscious snake lying in it.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds like complete nonsense as the spaceship goes.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's really a spaceship or if it doesn't really care about space at all and just moves around. I don't know.
Oh.
The whole show is quite weird in various ways.
Yes.
And I'm mainly watching it due to fascination with the weirdness.
Would you recommend it to anyone?
No.
No.
It's not. There's nothing about it that I'd say, oh, well, this is good, so you should watch it. It's like, this is weird. I want to find out if it will have been worth my time to watch it.
This is weird. Watch it if you like weird.
It's at once weird and totally mainstream at the same time.
Right.
Anyway, I'll leave it there.
All right.
Let's go to a break.
Probably take a break. Yes.
Yeah, I will attempt to drain my sinuses so I don't have to scream just to get noise to come out of my throat. It is quite nastiful. It is not fun times. But we'll be back in about 5 minutes. And we're back. Oh, so, Vol, you have anything else left?
No. My throat's starting to get a bit on the edge of my ability to continue talking anyway.
I see.
All right, so I'm
The
dead.
plague is strong.
The plague is strong, indeed. Keep your plague
Yeah.
to yourself, please.
I think my plague is brought on by exhaustion more than anything, because getting back from my air quote vacation meant running into a mountain of work.
Uh-huh. It always does.
It was just like, oh, that's a lot of stuff I gotta do.
Yep.
Ah. So yeah.
So have fun with that.
So my first day gone was fun. We had a prowler break into the garage while my mother was in there with his little, like, 22 Ruger trying to steal the golf cart.
Wait, what?
This did not deter the vacation from starting, however, but I wound up starting vacation by spending 4 hours showing the police around the property.
Yeah.
That was not fun. They have not caught the guy, but I sincerely doubt he will be showing back up again after the entire area was crawling with cops looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
But
Just weird.
They're creepers.
just even if he'd have got in the golf cart, we're just sitting there thinking, we're like, there's a very specific way you have to start that golf cart. He'd have been there for hours trying to get it to start if he didn't know how to turn it on.
I've never known a golf cart to be get in, turn key, turn on. They're always something like you got to prime the motor or
Yeah,
something like that.
you got to prime it with the little pull tab. You got to very slowly push the gas pedal a certain way with the brake held down, and you got to let up on the brake, and then you got to engage the engine. Like, you're not starting that thing like a car.
No.
It is not going to go. And this guy is sitting there with my mother packing stuff in the car, trying to steal the golf cart. It was so stupid in retrospect. And so he runs around the house to try and get in our basement to hide, and I guess he heard me because we saw his footprints look like he got to my basement door, opened it, said, uh-oh, there's somebody down here, and bolted out into the woods from where his footprints went.
Good grief.
This is how vacation in air quotes started.
With stupid, by the sound of it.
I mean, if he's that dense, there's a good chance that no, he won't ever come around again because he's lying dead in the woods somewhere now.
Yeah, sending him to jail might actually be doing him a favor.
Yeah, there are guns that live at every single house on this road, and not an under double-digit number of them. Like,
no,
he tries that again, and he's going to be shot now that people are on high alert. Like,
And
he
nothing
almost-
of value was lost.
like the police and the neighbors were out with guns and dogs looking for this guy, and he popped his head up. He was going to die.
Oh wow, just wow.
George is weird.
Yeah, it is.
So that was fun. And then we had to go through the vacation in Florida where I was trying my best not to get sick in a human environment, which is the number one way for me to just completely die.
Because people are gross.
Yes, people are gross.
Mm.
Populated humid areas are the absolute worst for me. I will always sick. And sure enough, I got home and I got sick.
Yep.
And so I'm having to practically scream to just make my throat make noise, and it's been a week since then.
Ugh.
But yeah, it has not been fun times. Let's see. So some things y'all might be interested in that I can talk about. The vacation itself was not interesting. There's no fun stories to really talk about. I did my best to hold myself up in one location and just play video games.
Yeah.
Or read, which was what I did. Video game and read. But for you
Which is how our
guys,
vacation is supposed to be.
It sounds like an ideal
it
holiday
was
to me.
not very comfortable. Yeah. None of it was comfortable. It was in a tiny little bedroom.
Ah,
But I would have much rather been at home in my chair where I'm comfortable.
Yes.
That was not what happened. But I did get some Mega Man done. And this is most likely to be the thing y'all will care about the most, since some of y'all might be looking at purchasing it. So we're already an hour and a half into the show. I'll go through this real quick. So first, the Mega Man X Legacy Collection came out, and this consumed the majority of my time.
Mm-hmm.
So, y'all gonna have to bear with me while I try to breathe and talk at the same time.
No, you may not.
Yeah. So, the first Legacy Collection is a definite recommendation no matter what. It's a great series. You're fine for Mega Man X 1 through 4. Pretty much anybody can enjoy those games and have fun.
Admittedly, we've been laughing about Mega Man X4 all morning.
Stop the coop now.
Stop the coop now. Just those clips you've shared, the voice acting is masterful in its terribleness.
It is a level of terrible that's so terrible it's good.
Yes.
If you have not seen it before, I posted in with finger waggly foreshadowing in the video game thread. You can get a sample of it there.
Oh boy, yeah. Just go and look at it. You've got to see it.
Disappointed that you cannot.
And you've got to stop the coop.
You gotta stop the coop now. Yes, we're aware of chicken coop and not coop.
Yeah, a coup, perhaps.
No, you gotta stop that chicken.
You gotta stop that chicken coop. Yep.
So, Mega Man X4 has problems with its voice acting, but it's kind of legendarily terrible. If you know the meme, "What am I fighting for?" It comes from that.
Yep.
So, yeah, those are bad, but Mega Man X4 plays wonderfully. It's a great game, as far as, being a video game. But I would not say it's going to win any Oscars. Probably not.
Probably
well, it
not.
Might. Still probably better than most stuff that comes out nowadays, but what can you do? I
wouldn't mind seeing a official So Bad It's Good award.
It might win that. It also has probably the most accurate Australian accent you've ever heard in media, with Colonel.
Not given by an actual Australian, you mean?
I don't know. Nobody knows who these guys were. For all we know, it was the pizza guy that did this voice acting. We don't know.
It probably was the pizza guy, considering how video game voice acting works.
No idea who these people were. Yeah.
Oh boy.
But X1 through X3 are your standard, the SNES games, and they're fine. If you like lemons and lightsabers, that jump and shoot stuff, you'll be fine. That's what you do. You throw lemons at people, or you whack people with your lightsaber.
Yep.
That's what you do. And X4 introduces you as a permanently playable character, so you can whack people with a lightsaber instead of shooting lemons the whole time, instead of just some of the time.
All right.
30 games, though, are where things start to get shaky.
I was about to say, where did the wheels start to fall off this?
So, while X4 keeps the formula pretty okay for the first 32-bit games, and is generally considered one of the better games in the series, X5 is where things start to fall off the bandwagon a little bit. We start deviating from the formula pretty hard. And a lot of ideas are not very good ones. The first one being, in X5, when you beat the intro stage, you're met with a stage select like every other Mega Man game. And so far, things seem okay. And you're told that you have to go beat 4 specific Mavericks to get 4 parts to a laser beam. And there is a chance for that laser beam to destroy the space station that's crashing into Earth so that you get the good ending and you can keep playing the game normally.
Wait, a chance?
A chance.
I don't like where this is going.
It can fail, but it's not the end of the world if it does. Now you got to go collect the 8 parts of the space shuttle to stop it from falling and continue the game if it does. Okay? There's a chance for that space shuttle to stop that thing from falling and crashing into the Earth.
Now, when you say chance, is this RNG chance or you done goofed chance?
Now, if the space shuttle fails,
Oh no.
after you have collected all the parts and done everything you're supposed to do, you are now locked into the bad ending, and there is nothing you can do about it.
Right.
So aside from the gameplay of X5 being slightly lower in quality than X4 in general, the big thing is that every part of this game, as far as the ending is concerned, is RNG based. Whether you are stuck...
Good grief.
Yeah. Which ending you get is 110% RNG.
Whose bright idea was that?
So the correct answer is to just replay the intro stage and auto-fire the cannon immediately before you collect any parts, and hope for the 12% success chance just to go off to get the good ending. And then just play through the rest of the game as though it never succeeded, until you get to the last levels and beat the boss and get the good ending. This is the way you actually play the game. I just saved you a whole lot of headache and trouble.
This sounds incredibly counterintuitive.
It is. There is nothing in game to tell you that it's RNG.
So yeah, play through it for the first time, going in blind. You get whatever ending it decides it's going to give you.
The ending you get is up to the fates. I think
Oh boy!
stupid laser beam can get as a chance to succeed is 33% anyway. So taking the 12% as soon as the game loads up is pretty good.
Oh boy! That is a really, really dumb decision.
Yeah, not so good. And the level design ain't nearly as hot as X4 was to begin with. So X5, not starting off pretty good. But unfortunately for y'all, X5 is the half-good game I consider in this second half of the collection.
Oh my.
Because it only gets worse.
Yeah, I've heard things about X6. Not many
X6
good.
is a nightmare. X6 might be one of the worst games ever made.
Yeah, that's the thing I've heard.
X6 is terrible.
Are we talking it's just like conceptually completely dorky and doesn't make any sense? Or are we talking like Big Rigs Over the Road racing so buggy that it doesn't actually function?
Oh, it was bug tested. It just had no quality control at all with the level design. Because the thing was rushed out in 10 months after the first one when the original team wrapped up with 5 and said, this is the end of the series, we're moving on to the Mega Man Zero series now.
Ah, it's the caching game.
Yeah, so Capcom said, well, X5 still did pretty good, let's go make a 6th one. They got an entirely different dev team that had no idea what they were doing, gave them 10 months to make the game and said, have fun.
Oh dear, that never ends well.
So,
what could possibly go wrong?
I'll tell you what can possibly go wrong, the Nightmare system. And I'm well aware of the pun, yes. It is a nightmare. So, in this game, whenever you enter a stage, succeed or fail, you have as many attempts as you want on every stage, like always, but succeed or fail, going into a stage will select 2 pre-canned other stages and apply a special effect called a Nightmare effect to them. These effects can include, if you go into Laser Institute and quit, for instance, you can't see 70% of the screen during 2 other levels.
What?
Exactly.
What? I didn't even know what you mean when you say that.
There is a square box around your character, and the rest of the screen is black.
What?
Why though?
Yeah.
To make it harder!
I get dumber.
If you go into Commander Yammark stage, and you leave the stage or beat it, you get little bugs that surround your character that will block shots that travel further than a third across the screen.
But why though?
Yeah, just random garbage like this. So you have to very carefully plan your route through this game to acquire the least obnoxious effects in the least number of places to make the game even playable. And this is before getting to the level design that is just broken. This game has horrible leaps of faith where you have to jump into what would clearly be a bottomless pit in any other Mega Man game, because that just happens to be the way to go. Made exasperating the fact that, in addition to that, at the bottom of that pit, there's likely a very specific spot you have to land that is surrounded by insta-kill spikes.
So it is a bottomless pit, except in one particular place.
What did you say? You cut out.
So basically, it is a bottomless pit, except in one particular place.
Yes, effectively, but that is also the place you have to go to continue progressing, because then you have to.
Is there any way to gather that data without just dying.
Not well, jumping in the hole and seeing it for the first time. You're going to get to a dead end. There's going to be one way to go. It's going to be down, and you can't see what's down there until you take the jump.
Oh, boy.
So, and also, like in other Mega Man games, or Mega Man X series specifically, you can acquire armor. And what this armor does is it modifies the way you play pretty dramatically. In most other Mega Man games, it'll give you a big buff to your stats and give you extra maneuverability options while you're on the field.
Yeah.
What this game does not tell you is that, unlike all the other Mega Man games, this armor is not optional this time.
Uh-oh.
If you do not go out of your way to find the super duper hidden armor capsules, specifically the blade armor, you can't beat the game.
That's
Like
troublesome.
Very.
And they do not tell you this, like you cannot select a stage because you don't have the requirements to play it. Oh no, you can play it, beat the 2 bosses on the way in the Sigma Fortress stages, get to a gap that is just literally impossible to cross without this one specific armor that you can only equip in the stage select menu, by the way. So you have to die until you run out of lives to go equip it. And you will get to this point and you're just stuck.
So you just stand there looking forever at it and wishing that you had equipped the right armor.
Yeah. And what's better is the blade armor is not the ultimate armor in the game. That's the shadow armor. If you have the shadow armor, you're immune to insta-kill spikes, which riddle the final levels, by the way. But if you equip it, you can't do this jump.
Grief.
So you cannot beat the final level with the shadow armor.
This is just sounding outright malicious.
It was terrible. And these are some of the worst final stages. It was the intern. And these are some of the worst final levels you've ever seen in any platformer. Just spikes everywhere. All those health upgrades, all those boss weapons you've got, none of them matter for crap in the last level of X6. Because anything you touch kills you.
I think the last level of Earthworm Jim was made out of spikes.
I think it was, and they hyped up the final boss fight on that game, and you end up just... Yeah. But Earthworm Jim at no point tried to take itself seriously.
Yeah. It's worse than Earthworm Jim, from what I remember. I don't remember much about Earthworm Jim, but it never frustrated me this bad. Like, yeah. I never finished X6 back in the day for a reason. It was the first X game I put down and said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm done. Back when I was a kid.
And, you decided to take your ball and go home.
Yeah, like, it was not fun. And this is all without mentioning the worst boss you've ever seen in any platformer, and his name is Gate.
Gate?
His name is Gate, and he's got something like 64 bips of HP. Okay, that's standard final boss fare for Mega Man stuff, except for only his own attacks can hurt him for 2 damage at a time.
Wait, what now?
The entire fight takes place suspended over a bottomless pit with platforms he destroys.
Of course it does.
So you will sit there praying to the RNG gods that he just decides to do the reflectable attack in a location where you can hit him with it. While not falling into a pit before he destroys all the platforms you're staying on. It is 100% out of your control when he does this. You just gotta sit there and hope he does what you want him to. I was on that boss for 2.5 hours, waiting for him to get the right pattern. And that is apparently a very good time for that boss.
Good grief. It just sounds like they've gone out of their way to make you suffer for liking Mega Man in this game.
X6 is a dumpster fire. Just through and through. I haven't even touched on some of the specific level gimmicks and designs. The game is just a dumpster fire. Just no, don't Mega Man X6 ever if you know what's good for you. Even if you like Mega Man, like there is no reason for you to ever touch X6 for any reason.
Yeah.
It is just bad. You are just going to spoil yourself spoil your love for Mega Man by tarnishing it with this dumpster fire. Don't do it. Oh, and if you want to see some of the worst translated English from Japanese you've ever seen in your life, go watch the X cutscenes. or the X6 cutscenes. The X6 cutscenes are legendarily bad in their translation. They're not dubbed, thankfully.
Not amusingly bad like X4, I assume? Just bad?
No, it's just broken grammar in English everywhere. Nobody knows what's going on in the story in the English version because it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, 1 sentence in 10 has correct grammar.
Eee.
And Zero's response, despite supposedly dying for goodsies in 5, spoiler alert, for a 20-year-old game, he was supposed to die for goodsies in 5, and that was the end of the X series until the Zero series. He comes back in 6, and the famous quote is, "I hid myself while I repaired myself."
What?
And he just gives a thumbs up. With the worst. Now, put a comma in every wrong spot in that sentence you possibly can, and you're in the ballpark of what that scene is like.
Wow.
Sounds reasonable.
Completely.
Yeah, no. It was terrible. And then we get to X7, which is the other dumpster fire. Although this one less so, in that it was terrible. X7 is a terrible game. But after experiencing X6, X7 is terrible in that it's just a bad translation of 2D to 3D. Yeah. It's just boring. And there's a lot of design oversights. Like, you can just walk around enemies in a 3D environment when they're designed for a 2D one. Like, there's a lot of stuff like that.
I love that. That sounds great.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, like, these enemies operate exactly the same as they do in 2D, but now they have 3D models and you have an extra axis to move in, so these obstacles just become minor inconveniences you can walk around.
Enemies that used to be an enormous pain in the neck in 2D, you just walk around them. I love that.
Like, wow.
I love that for all the wrong reasons.
So,
that's just wow.
Yeah. So then X7 has the dub again. The dub is back, and the X series dub continues to impress, I guess, with its wonderful quality. With if you haven't seen the Flame Heinard meme with "burn to the ground, burn to the ground,"
yeah, I've seen that.
Need to go.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Go to YouTube and look up Flame Heinard.
Yeah.
He is a dude that makes 3 copies of himself, and all of his audio cues overlap with each other.
And they're very loud.
And he is screaming variants of burn and burn to the ground, and his sound clips continuously overlap literally the entire boss fight.
Yeah. If anyone who's familiar with, any of the silver fights in Sonic 06, it's basically that.
Except worse and louder.
And burning to the ground instead of it not being any use. At least in the case of Silver, there's only one of him.
I will dig up a video for y'all of Flame Heinard at some point. But this is not uncommon, and the voice acting is continuously atrocious throughout the entire game. But the Flame Heinard meme continues to be a meme for a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. X7 is not playable by any reasonable definition of the word playable, but it's there as like a thing that they were obligated to put in.
It's a thing that exists.
But it's not as offensive as X6 was. X6 was built on the same engine with the same skeleton as a Mega Man X game. It just fell on its face.
Yes.
7 is like, they were new at least, and that's why it fell on its face. So I'm not nearly as harsh on X7, despite it being probably a worse game overall. X8 does a lot to try and go back to the roots of the series. And for the most part, it succeeds, although I don't like that most of the levels are very gimmicky in that game. There's only 1 or 2 straight-up platforming levels where you're just hopping from platform to platform, beating the challenges the level puts in your path, as you know, you would expect in a platforming game. Most of them are like, there's a giant mechanoid chasing you the entire place, or it's an auto-scroller, or you're on a jet bike or something stupid. But when it does the actual platforming to platforming, X8's pretty fine. It's an okay game. Is it, X1 through X4 tier? No, absolutely not. But it's still competent and okay. You can play that game and still have fun. But that said, there isn't a whole lot to say about it other than there's multiple playable characters now, and they do a good job of distinguishing between X-Zero and Axel. But that's about it. There ain't a whole lot to X8 as far as it being a Mega Man game, or specifically an X-Series game. So yeah. That, if you were looking for the do-to-do on the State of the Nation with the Mega Man X series and the collections that have come out, that is the State of the Nation I have after Platinum trophying both collections. That means I did 100% both X6 and X7. Just for you guys.
And not you enjoy my, pain.
And not my, masochism.
Not entirely, anyway.
It was actually just my masochism.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm trying to hide it. I just like hurting myself.
There you go.
This Flame Haynard guy seems unstable.
To put it nicely, yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Bit of a wacko.
Yeah, I just clicked on that video for a second and had the audio cue starting to drive me crazy.
Yep.
Anyway.
It's back and it's going to be stuck in your head all day now. Have fun with that.
If you want a mostly consistent game series that is not the X Legacy Collection 2, after finishing X1 through 5, I would, or 1 through 4 and pretending you play 5, you can skip straight to the Zero series, which was the intended continuation where the old team went.
Right.
Which are significantly harder than the X games, I will add. They are meant to be a step up in challenge because they're meant to be played after you're already familiar with the X series. But the Zero series is really, really good. So, I will not talk about quite yet because I'm still playing that series sequel, ZX, on my DS right now. And I want to finish that before I talk about the Zero series as a whole.
Sure.
But yeah. That is the Mega Man State of the Nation for the Legacy Collection, because I figured y'all might be interested in that since it's fairly recent, and it just came out ish about a month ago.
Ish, yes.
We're already 2 hours in, so I don't have time to go over all the other stuff I read or played during my 2.5 week break.
If you decide to talk about everything you read in Umineko, we'll be here all week.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to cover the major differences, but we don't have time right now. We're 2 hours into this show, so
nope.
This is not a short conversation.
No, it is not. Okay, let's jump into some news then, shall we?
Burn to the ground.
Burn to the ground. Burn to the ground. Yeah, I'm assuming you found the dance remix?
No, I was just watching a video of the fight.
Okay, well, yeah.
It's not. I normally with these things, I assume that there's some degree of exaggeration taking place.
No.
At times it can happen this way, but no. This is just some random playthrough that I saw, and it does sound exactly like that.
Yep. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad, and yeah, I wouldn't recommend looking for the dance remix because it does exist, but it's ear bleeding. It's just no.
Yeah.
No. Bad, no.
Oh, burn to the ground.
Burn to the ground. All right.
It is so bad.
It's no use.
Video games. Pick a news thing.
All right, well, I'll go through these in the order we found them. Why not? So Nintendo did a Smash Brothers Nintendo Direct this week, and they unveiled a whole bunch of stuff, like a new way the classic mode works, a bunch of assist trophies, things like that. But we're not going to talk about most of that. We're going to talk about the important bits.
The only bits people actually care about?
Yes.
The characters?
The playable characters. So they've announced Simon Belmont as one of the new unique characters. And about freaking time.
Yeah, finally wrestled him away from Konami.
Yeah, but it was Konami, and Konami is famous for being Konami at this point.
Yeah.
Ugh. And along with him, we also got Richter Belmont, who is a Echo fighter, who is basically a Simon Belmont clone. Though
And as much thing as Simon in canon.
Yeah, from what I can tell, based on my limited knowledge of the Castlevania series, they both kind of use a combination of moves from both Simon and Richter's arsenals.
That's more heavily inspired by Richter than Simon, but
Yeah.
like the slide dash he does and the whip twirly in motion thing that he does, not the standy still one, but the one where he's moving and twirling the whip to cover himself, stuff like that. His Hydro Storm pose animation, all that's Richter.
Yeah. So yeah, the other notable playable character is, of course, King K. Rool, the big bad from the Donkey Kong series. And what I actually found more surprising is his final smash, where they've acknowledged that Donkey Kong 64 happened.
I thought people liked Donkey Kong 64.
In general, yeah.
Yeah.
It's only like critics in retrospect that are like, oh, it wasn't that good of a collectathon that are really hating on it.
Yeah.
It's only when they get their snooty voice that I can't do with stuffy nose that you get people that really don't like DK64.
Yeah. Personally, I loved DK64. Loved it.
Yeah, it was a good video game.
It was a good video game. It had its dumb things, but let's face it, it's Donkey Kong.
For when it came out, yeah. It was an N64 game. It was a good video game when it came out. The only people that really hate on it are the snooty, like, YouTube critics. They're like, oh, it wasn't that good of a platformer, or a collectathon, or whatever you call it. Pick your genre name.
It had a terrible rap as its intro song. I think that's all you really need to know.
The DK rap is awesome.
It is infamous, is what it is.
If I think about it hard enough, I can probably remember the whole thing.
Yeah. So K. Rool's got all the moves you'd expect him to have. He's got his crown throw, he does his belly slam, he does a kind of a belly bounce thing counter. And yeah, his final smash is the giant freaking death laser he fires if you get a game over in Donkey Kong 64. So, lasers. Enjoy.
Yeah. I honestly, I wasn't that excited for King K. Rool. We haven't seen him in forever. He's even harder than the Castlevania characters. He's a big nostalgia throwback. At least we still see Simon and Richter occasionally whenever Castlevania does come up.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen K. Rool in ages.
Nope. No, the Tropical Freeze had some sort of tiki god as a bad guy, didn't it?
Yeah, like the Tropical Freeze and the thing before it, like, didn't have K. Rool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been MIA for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Tell you what, though, for both of these characters, both Simon and K. Rool, their trailers are worth watching. They are both very well done. So if you want to see Luigi get, well, murdered, literally die on screen, they kill Luigi.
They killed him with death.
Yeah, death killed Luigi. Or you want to see DDD get a much-needed smack upside the head, there you go.
I'm just glad I don't have to hear anybody talk about Ridley anymore.
Yeah, that Ridley meme, I think, is going to linger for quite some time.
Why?
I didn't get the love for wanting Ridley in Smash. Like, I like my Ridley in Metroid too, but
largely it's
why are we so obsessed with having him in Smash?
Largely because people wanted more Metroid representation. Like, Samus was the only playable Metroid character for the longest time.
That's because she is the only Metroid character.
Pretty much.
I'm more inclined to think it's that Smash players are all a bunch of entitled douchebags.
Oh yeah, there's a degree of that too. So, speaking of Samus, Shadow Samus is in there as an Echo fighter of regular Samus. Or Dark Samus, I should say, rather.
Yep, from Prime 2 and Prime 3.
Yeah. I think they've done themselves a big favour by coming out and saying, yeah, we're actually making clone fighters officially now. Now they can just put in all sorts of people without really doing any work.
Yeah, people complain about that too.
Well, yeah, they will. Like, they tweak the stats a bit for them. They're not just a direct copy and paste, but close
I think that Smash is probably the single whiniest fandom of any fighting game by a pretty considerable margin.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. I was thinking the Marvel vs. Capcom one, but no, that community's dead now.
Well, and they had legitimate cause for criticism in that tiny space of time where they were still alive and Infinite was a thing.
Incidentally, Ari, you threw a interesting factoid at me earlier about that.
All right, it wasn't big enough to stick in the news, but Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite had its first dead day on consoles with absolutely 0 people online for a full 24-hour span the other day.
Yep. So that game is dead.
I'm surprised it took this long.
Honestly, so am I.
Yeah, it had been dead had dead days on PC for a while, but this is the first dead day on console this week. So,
yep.
Take a look at your lives, Capcom.
You have failed.
But characters are just functions. Quoting Combo Fiend Rosas.
Hold on, it should have been the easiest thing in the world to have a smash hit with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and they ruined it. They screwed it up.
But you don't really want characters. Characters are just functions, you see, Fern.
Well, okay. Here's a couple more functions. For Smash Brothers, we also got Chrom, who is a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone, I think. I've lost
I don't
count.
even know who that is.
Chrom's a post-Awakening Fire Emblem kitty
Yeah.
that everybody liked when Awakening came out.
Did they?
But he's a clone of Lucina, who is a clone of Roy, who is a clone of Marth. So, yeah, figure it out.
Well, everybody's either a clone or a child of somebody in that game.
Yeah. No, I'm talking fighting game characters. But in the case of Chrom, that's actually the case, I think. I don't know. Fire Emblem doesn't make a whole lot of sense on that front.
Aren't all the Fire Emblem protagonists basically, like the playable protagonists, aren't they all basically all the same person?
Nah.
Like, functionally.
In Smash, yes.
Yes. The
In
exceptions
Smash,
being
they all
Robin
have
and what's his face?
All of the Lords in Fire Emblem play exactly the same in Super Smash Brothers.
Yep.
So they've been making clone characters for goodness only knows how long.
Yeah.
They've just been pretending like they weren't clone characters.
Yeah.
The only non-Marth moveset character we've gotten is Robin for Fire Emblem. This is why we were hoping for like Hector or Lindis or anybody that wasn't dude with a big sword.
I'd say Ike is enough to differentiate himself, but he's still kind of in that clone bubble.
I remember in the GameCube one, they did things like they had Ganondorf and Captain Falcon in there, but apart from some marginal tweaks to the numbers on their like movement speed and damage, they were functionally the same.
Oh, they never changed that.
Yeah, that's been that way since Melee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And much to everybody's annoyance.
But those two characters are so radically distinct from each other, it really confused me that they would do that.
Yep.
I'm thinking back to many, many years ago now. But, like, Ganondorf was like, you know, this is the super villainous character. He's supposed to be, like, the most powerful single individual in the entire land of Hyrule. And
nope, he's a
slower, heavier restart driver.
He's a Captain Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the slower, heavier version of a race car driver.
Yeah.
Like, this is your big bad, Zelda fans. How does that make you feel?
Ripped off. And also because he's really, really difficult to use.
Ganondorf, I think, was the worst character in both Melee and Brawl.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Falcon was like I felt Falcon was one of the better ones in the original Smash Bros.
Yeah, which proves his moveset does not work if you slow him right down.
Yeah, like his whole shtick was that the amount of raw damage that he could actually dish out at a reasonable, usable pace was better than pretty much anybody else's.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, speed is everything in Classic Smash and Smash Melee. Like, Pikachu is god tier busted in original Smash for a reason.
Yeah.
I think in original Smash, Captain Falcon had, I think, the slowest walk speed and the fastest run speed. Or something weird.
It was something wonky like that, yeah.
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 It's hard to get good data on Classic Smash because Pikachu is so god tier WTF busted.
Yeah. There's one more clone character they introduced, who I'm entirely blanking on. Let me see. Chrom, Dark Samus, and... Oh, Richter. No, we covered them all.
Yeah, that's say.
I'm surprised that they care so much about adding more characters to the game, since all that ever happens is like Fox Final Destination, no items. That's like the entirety of that game.
Yeah.
Well, they did add one interesting feature to accommodate that play style with the morphine stage.
I kind of like that, actually.
Yeah, like being able to select 2 stages and have this stage transition between 2 of them, and set them up so they're battlefield stages as well is really good.
Yeah, I never used the battlefield because it's boring.
Yeah, like I would not use the battlefield previously, but if I could morph the background and change the stage, I wouldn't mind setting the flat platforms on. That'd be fine. As long as it's something different to look at.
If I wanted to play, on Final Destination and no items, I'd play a regular fighting game. I wouldn't play Smash.
Oh, you keep items on. You play with house rules, obviously. But sometimes you just don't want to mess with the map gimmicks.
Yeah. Which, incidentally, is another feature they've done. So you can keep the normal map and just turn off the map gimmick.
Yeah, like
the acid.
Like the acid.
Yeah, like the acid or the cars on the Earthbound stage or whatever. Like, nobody wants to mess with those.
No. That's a very welcome change. They've teased a new game mode. They haven't said anything about it other than there is a completely new game mode coming. So we've got to wait for that.
If there is not a single player mode in this game, I'm not going to get it. Like, if there's not a good, solid, chunky single player mode in this game, I'm done with Smash.
I'll admit I kind of liked Subspace Emissary. It was kitschy and goofy, but it wasn't overly good.
It was content to play alone.
Yes.
Like,
it was a Kirby game with the Smash Brothers
there by yourself. Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind seeing something like that again. Especially all the goofy cutscenes to go with it.
Yeah, it could be goofy or corny or whatever. Just give me something feasibly do by myself and maybe enjoy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They've also tweaked classic modes, so each character has a unique lineup to go against. Which, frankly, I'm not really surprised to see because the cast is so huge now.
Yeah, like, you can tailor that basically however you want now.
Yeah. And they threw around some numbers, so there's about 100 different maps now. Good luck with that.
It feels like oversaturation at that point. Like, I can't take it as a serious fighting game for sure, Z's, when your stage count reaches 100.
I've never taken it.
How do you know what one you want?
Yeah, like, what is realistically going to happen here is everybody that plays with their friends is going to mash the random button every time.
That's what I already know.
Or they're going to pick 1 or 2 random stages they like.
Or they're going to pick Final Destination with no items.
Yeah. No, they're not, because you don't play with those. I don't play with those people. You don't play with those people. Fern doesn't play with those people. So no, that's not what we're going to do.
I'm just going to go full random mode. Let's do this. Oh no, it's
random
Brinstar.
Is stage.
Unless it's Brinstar. Screw Brinstar.
I think you can knock maps off the random count in
I think you can, yeah.
Smash. So they might carry that over.
Disabling all of the items except Pokeballs and then turning the drop rate up to max.
Oh, those matches got ridiculous.
That's a fairly common game type that a lot of people play. I've done that before.
Yep.
But yeah, what was it? You can save game types like that now. They're letting you save custom rule sets as prepackaged things, so you can boot them up and play whenever you want instead of having to go in the menu and change it every single time.
Yeah. So that's really nice
is a feature that should have existed for 20 years now, but better late than never, I guess.
I guess. So yeah, the game's shaping up rather good as a let's play this with our friends type game, not a let's seriously compete in this game type game.
We'll have plenty of time to take pot shots at the Pro Smash community when the game comes out.
I do enjoy taking pot shots at the Pro Smash community.
It's a low-hanging fruit.
I know it's low-hanging fruit, but I just find them to be so absurd.
Do you remember the car in the Taco Bell story from about a year ago-ish?
Yes, that's why they're ridiculous.
I forget that one.
They just don't... Go on.
Oh, the dude almost ran into some dudes with his car because he was mad about Smash.
In a Taco Bell parking lot?
Something like that. I don't remember the full story. It's been a while, but yeah.
Right.
This is the Pro Smash community.
Good grief.
They want people to respect them too. I think that's what makes it really funny.
It's like walking into a room and saying, "Respect me."
Yeah, they want respect. That's why it's
You just tried to run over that dude's friends at a Taco Bell, dude. I'm not respecting you ever.
Yep.
Maybe a Burger King parking lot, I would have thought twice about it, but a Taco Bell?
Have some dignity, man. Oh, jeez. What else we got?
We're going to be fired.
Again.
Oh, dear. I was dead this week. Let's see. What did y'all cover? What's this week and what's last week?
Anything after Smash is this week.
I gotta find it.
Here's one from that Vold posted. Discord's doing a thing.
Yeah, they're doing a thing.
I'm not sure why they're doing this thing.
Yeah. Basically, they want to join the distribution platform market.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Just why?
There are already people who've got like Uplay and Origin and Steam and GOG and goodness only knows what else already installed on their machines. Discord wants to add another one. They want to be the nth platform for purchasing indie games that only Fern plays.
Actually, there's some decent ones in there, but there's also some FNAF type games.
If they wanted to be, a vendor that sells keys you can redeem on Steam and have separate sales, that'd be one thing. But they're looking to be their own distribution platform where you have to have their dumb thing installed to play video games, and nobody wants that.
Nope. They've made claims that they want to be kind of this unified platform, so if you have all these other launchers installed, you can just launch your games via Discord. I believe you can actually do that now, but that involves going to the game panel, and nobody remembers that actually exists.
That's a lovely pipe dream, but you're putting bets here that all these other companies are going to cooperate with you.
Yeah.
This isn't on you. This is on them. And you cannot vouch for other companies, period. They can decide they don't want you doing this because you're wrenching their market share.
I can tell you this.
And they will just cut you out of the equation.
Yeah. They do not play nice at all with each other.
Yeah. It just seems... What I'm concerned about is it's a waste of money. Mm-hmm. Like, basic economics will tell you that you should do the thing that you're best at, generally speaking. Yes. You don't always want to be just furiously diversifying. You want to dominate the thing that you are best at where possible. And this is just them, they've got a really, really good thing going here with their chat service. They should be maximizing that to be like indomitable. Basically, they should be trying to corner that market. They should be wanting to be the very best. So good that nobody else could ever think of taking their market share away from them. Instead, they're recklessly diversifying into a cluttered market while not actually offering anything new.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as a company, they are still way less stable than Valve is. Like, if you purchase something from them, is it going to be there in 3 years' time? We don't know.
No.
We don't know what we're seeing now. Like, I know most people won't think this deeply into it, but the diversification into another market like this makes me less sure about their stability as a business, and therefore less likely to purchase games that will be attached to their platform.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, like, I think that there's either they desperately need to move into a direct revenue generation model because they aren't getting enough subscriptions, or they are basically just recklessly moving in a direction which is ill-advised, in my opinion. Like,
which actually tangents nicely onto the other thing they're promising, which is free games for subscribers.
If they have a absolute juggernaut publisher, or more than one, that wants to give them exclusivity, like going into the foreseeable future, then maybe it makes sense. But I mean, that didn't really work for EA, did it? Like, how many people speak fondly of Origins?
Nobody.
Yeah, like Ari had to call customer support multiple times just to get the game that he wanted to work. So they don't have the greatest reputation. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. It seems like a silly thing to do. Like they're so good at what they do already. They should be maximizing that, and they should be adding services tangential to that. Like they are the one environment where I think that doing the thing that Steam had tried to do, I don't know to the extent to which they're continuing trying to do it, where they want to sort of branch out into a pseudo-social network, you could probably do that with Discord.
Oh, I think
you could probably do it with Discord.
It would not be a huge jump from where they are at the moment.
It's because it's organically already heading that way.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of a large number of good reasons not to, but you could do it. The biggest reason not to is because that will immediately segue into speech policing, because people will demand it.
Yeah,
because people are stupid.
Discord's already had accusations of that already.
Yeah, like you don't want to go down that road. No. You really don't. But yeah, I think that they should really be focusing on things nearer to home and not just assuming that they can push into this market, which is so clogged up. Like, as bad as Steam has gotten with its total lack of curation, and like shovelware isn't even a good enough name for what they're doing now. Like, it doesn't truly express the depth of depravity that has crept into their market, nor does it communicate the fact that, you know, they are selling cryptocurrency miners and things like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't follow up on that, actually.
The lack of curation has turned them into the Wild West par excellence as far as game sales goes. But despite all of that, the raw power they have from the number of publishers that are behind them enables them to continue chugging along anyway. In order to really outdo Steam and seize an appreciable amount of the market, you really need to be able to do what they do without all of the crap. But there's no way that a small outfit like Discord is going to get that much stuff behind them. Like, the only big name they have behind them is Microsoft. Like, Microsoft will be able to back them, but we still don't know what they're going to ask in return for that.
Yeah.
Because doing a deal with the devil usually works out badly for you. But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing seems like an incredibly unstable proposition, something that is going to be dangerous to the platform as a whole. And I don't know. It makes me worried that this is one of those successes gone to their heads moments. Because the only outfit that has really managed to take Steam by the horns in any passable way is GOG. And GOG is a tiny blip on Steam's radar.
Yes.
Like, you know, the Humble Bundle has also tried to interact in that way with Steam and serve as an alternate distribution platform, but their success has been very limited as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't think that you need to stick another one in there. Like, I don't know, maybe they feel that Steam is very, very tolerant to having additional parasites hanging off of them, but it seems like a hazardous approach. But I guess they'll put it through testing, and maybe they'll get good feedback. Maybe they'll decide that, yeah, you know, this isn't actually working the way we expected it to. We should probably just back off on this. We'll put it on ice for a while, indefinitely, so or whatever. But yeah, I don't think that the market needs it. I think that the thing that really sort of sticks in my craw about it is that it doesn't really interact with Discord in any way. Like, Discord is not for that. There's no synergy between those two things. Not really. Like, the quick launcher is there, but how many people use the quick launcher?
Nobody.
In Discord. Well, I've got it up on screen right now to look at it. It needs work. UI-wise, it needs work to even be functional. But
how many people actually remember it exists in the first place is the big question.
Most of the time I don't, because it's obtuse getting there. But yeah, I don't see why I would use it. Like, I can't think of a reason.
It is there to notify you which your friends need help in therapy because they're playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah, so Abo.
Yeah.
Basically Abo.
Oh, dear. Yeah, he's one of them.
Go and talk him down off the ledge, Harry.
I'm trying. You're not listening.
But yeah, I mean, I can see the benefit, right? Like if I look at the quick launcher, it's like, oh, well, Titan Quest is there. I can launch Titan Quest. Secret World Legends is there. If for some reason I ever wanted to play that, I could launch.
Just to remind you of your failings.
Guild Wars 2 is there. Hollow Knight is there. So I've got a random mixture of stuff that I've installed from both the Steam platform and other things. But yeah, I know where to go to launch those things. And the thing that sticks out to me, there's no Neptunia anywhere on the screen.
It's failed immediately.
Yeah, this is an abject failure as far as I'm concerned. Like, I launched Neptunia more than practically any other game on my PC. So, where is Neptunia? I demand to know.
Yes.
The only thing which I launch as often as Neptunia games is Fate Extella, and that's not on the list either. Like, the reason why nobody uses this page is because it's unusable.
It's on my quick launch now, I think of it. Let's see.
I told Discord it's not allowed to look at my stuff, so mine just has a bunch of random stuff.
I think mine just shows some random stuff anyway. I can't remember how to get it to it anymore.
You have to click the big Discord item in the upper left and then click activity.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let me see. Well, I've got Raft on there because I'm playing that right now. And the Bruise Show is also there.
I don't even know what that is.
Shadow of War.
Oh,
it's
right.
telling
me
it's telling me I should go and take Abo's computer off him. Yeah, and that's about it. It's also trying to spook Dota 2 to me.
Yeah, so their basic aptitude for creating a quick launch menu has not been proven here at all, even a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play League of Legends, even if they ask me. I'm not going to play World of Warcraft. I am most likely not going to play Warframe because that game I get lost all the time.
I go back to that game every time, and they've rearranged everything.
I don't understand how Warframe works. Like, period. Like, I thought that Skyforge was complicated. Warframe blows it out of the water. As far as just random numbers that they present you with that you have no idea how to use.
You're a space ninja. You're a ninja in space.
Well, I grasped that much, but the rest of it was pretty much impenetrable.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
What this activity log is telling me is it really wants me to turn back on my stuff that lets Discord look at what I'm doing. And that I really should be playing everything the Wandering Bard is. It's got look at all this stuff Bart's been doing. I'm like, yeah, look at all that stuff.
Shadowverse, Dota 2, Warframe.
Yeah, he must actively use Discord to track his shiz because he's the only dude I have that has all their stuff tracked.
I don't know what Shadowverse is.
Shadowverse sounds familiar.
I don't know.
I can't think of it at the moment.
I've got a friend who is playing Endless Space, but I don't know what that is either.
Endless Space is a... well, they call it a roguelike, but it's got really nothing to do with rogues or likes.
Genre Wars.
Yeah, I know, right? It's, you jump in a spaceship and see how far you can go, basically, before you explode. Or you just get sick of your sarcastic AI. You know, whatever happens.
At any rate.
Discord, yeah.
It's so just for context, the lineup of games that they're planning to sell through their client when this system goes live is Dead Cells, Hollow Knight, Into the Breach, Frostpunk, Pillars of Eternity 2, and Banner Saga 3. So none of those are bad.
No, none of them are bad.
To my knowledge, they're not bad, although Ari has got a grudge against Dead Cells. So, yeah, I don't know what the story is with that.
That is more false advertising while it was in early access than it actually being a bad game. it just wasn't what I was told it was going to be according to its early access page.
Yeah, I see.
Right. And the ones that they're baking into their premium service include Metro Last Light Reader, Saints Row the Third, Goner, and Super Meat Boy.
Everybody already owns Super Meat Boy.
I don't.
You're probably
I don't
the
feel bad
only
about
one.
that at all. I don't even want it. Like, why would I want that? Like, if I want to like harm myself, I could do that. But I don't. So I don't have Super Meat Boy.
Fair enough.
You have to do it with a Vigigame, though. You have to feel like you accomplished something while you kill yourself.
Only for it to
Horribly.
be taken away.
That seems like a sign of psychological instability to me.
Doesn't it just?
Oh, dear.
Boy.
But yeah, so Discord claims that they want a cozy neighborhood bookshop vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, like, because nobody has a neighborhood bookshop anymore.
No.
Well, I live in a city,
know.
so maybe I'm an exception. I
No.
don't know. Like, Ari lives just outside a city. Fern lives in a
In the
desert
middle of
in the middle of nowhere.
There's no cozy
Like-
bookshops here.
Yeah.
I saw
They're
a
not
cozy
anymore.
bookshop in Melbourne.
The cozy bookshops all went out of business about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I haven't been inside a cozy bookshop for at least 20 years. And the main thing that I remember about them is, number one, they're badly lit. Number two, they're full of books and smell like books. And number three, you can't turn around because you'll knock books over.
Yes.
That's what I remember about them.
There's nowhere to sit in a cozy bookshop.
Well, they
Which
don't
is a
want you
good
to.
thing.
They don't want you to read. They want you to buy and go home. And read.
I'm a person who disapproves of. I feel like there's something immoral about the way Borders, formerly, I don't know who does it these days, ran their business, where you're supposed to read books in the store and buy coffee while you do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, Starbucks on the second floor? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't go to a bookstore to read books. I go to a bookstore to buy books, and I don't want somebody's coffee-grown fingers all over them.
Yeah. There was I think it's
remember the
Dimmicks.
Starbucks on the second floor.
Yeah, Dimmicks in Australia is the one that does that. They've got the coffee and they've got the lounge and the big sign saying, "Feel free to take any of our books, buy a coffee, and just sit here and read."
We played tabletop at the Starbucks at the Borders here. Back in high school.
It's a
I
book.
remember that. I mean, yeah, the 3.5 player handbook was technically a book, and they sold it at the store.
So why would I buy a book in that case when I could go to the bookshop, read the book I like with a cup of coffee, and put it back, and it's a brand new book instead
Maybe
of going
if
to a
you're not
library?
immoral.
Well, aside from if you ignore the fact that I would feel horrible and be a really horrible person for doing it,
Well, you bought the coffee.
I bought the
Which
coffee.
probably cost more than the book.
That's actually a good point.
But I'm not going to buy the coffee, like, ever. And nobody ever did.
I don't
But
like
my
coffee,
observation-
So
My observation of the local equivalent back before they shut down because they went out of business
I wonder why.
was that nobody ever bought the coffee.
Nobody certainly bought the books.
The
Nope.
person manning the coffee, the barista there, was always looking very, very bored, despite the sheer number of customers around,
Oh boy.
You-
or
There were, like,
supposed
this
customers. The
weird
worst
stuff-
was the manga aisle. There were
Yeah.
people sprawled all over the floor, everywhere in there reading manga. I went there to buy manga. Like, I had to look for the ones that hadn't been viciously thumbed.
Yeah.
Ugh. The worst were when there were people at the coffee area of the Borders coffee shop, like these weird pseudo-humans with fedoras. They were like 500 pounds too fat and like sitting there with their Macs. Like, this is where the hipster stereotype started, was in these coffee shops within the bookstores.
Grief,
It's like,
I thought that was
usually,
I thought that was just an exaggerated stereotype.
but those just
no,
had,
it's
like,
all coming back to me.
they
The
had
more we talk
like,
about it.
very
Yeah.
spindly wrought iron chairs. How would they support their weight? Because they was trying to be fashionable and minimalistic, those places.
I don't know.
In the coffee area, the armchairs were elsewhere. And the armchairs also
They
had
were metal
very-
chairs at ours, so I guess the metal chairs could support their weight. They might bend a little bit when they get up, but they support the weight.
Oh boy. Anywho, this is getting off topic, and it's going rather depressing places.
Well, it's Discord's fault. They said they were the ones who said they wouldn't be a cozy bookstore.
Yeah, except there's no such thing, and that's how we ended up here. Oh boy, what else we got? We've got a couple of teasers, and then I think we could probably start winding down.
Yeah.
So first is a teaser from Blizzard, who says they're working on multiple Diablo-based projects. That's all they say.
Multiple Diablo characters being added to Heroes of the Storm.
That's probably it.
Are there enough people playing Diablo 3 still to justify another expansion?
I know quite a few people are still playing it. It's kind of sad.
I'm asking
actually.
if there are enough to... I'm not asking if your loser friends are still playing it. I'm asking if there are enough people to justify a massive expenditure of production of another expansion.
I'd be hesitant to call those people friends, but I guess they've managed to string people along with their annual seasons. I guess.
Your confidence is not impressing me.
No, it's not, because honestly, I'd really need to see the numbers to make a sound judgment on that. But what else? Well, we've got BlizzCon coming up soon, don't we? The annual self-congratulatory party that Blizzard throws.
Once upon a time, we would.
I thought that they were doing it. I thought they were doing it biannually.
I don't know. I've lost track.
It's Blizzard. They're just going to lie anyway. Who cares?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So, yeah, we might be seeing Diablo 4. Would probably be more likely to see a new expansion, or Diablo the eSport tournament.
Just remember, kids, no matter what Blizzard says at Blizzard, they're lying to you. Wait till it comes out, and then wait 2 weeks for the hype to wear off before you buy anything.
Where's my dance studio, Blizzard?
Still waiting.
Still waiting.
But that's still not as bad as the sorts of things that Ari's waiting for, so... like trees that grow in real time.
Yeah. Oh boy. So yeah, be skeptical.
They cannot be trusted. Cannot be trusted. Though, I mean, the appalling damage done to their characters has happened in plain view and nobody seems to care, so...
True.
Oh well.
I guess that's it then.
We tell people to get away from it. We have jumped ship. There have got to be others that have jumped ship. We've got to believe.
Jumpy.
So did you see that THQ announced a game which is about a guy with a scarf, just called Scarf?
I did see that. What on earth is that all about?
How hipster can you possibly get?
Fedora, the game.
Yeah, well, I guess it's not. But basically, as far as I can tell, his scarf operates like the freaking parasite from Prototype.
I played a game like that back in the day. It was called Freakout in the PAL version. It was a game about a little girl who went around bending reality and snapping women with boobs the size of beach balls. No, I'm not making that up. I can't remember what it was called in the NTSC region.
Hey.
Hang on, I'm going to have to look this up. What was it called? It was a very, very strange game.
It certainly sounds like it.
Let me see. There's the game. Freak Out. Stretch Panic on the PS2 it was, in the rest of the world.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, very strange game called... The plot is... The story starts with a girl named Linda who lives with her 12 vain sisters who are obsessed with beauty and treat Linda as their errand girl, often making fun of her scarf. One day, a mysterious present appears on the family's doorstep, which, upon being opened, unleashes 13 vanity demons, because of course it does. As 12 of these demons manage to kidnap and possess the other sisters, the 13th demon becomes stuck in Linda's scarf. and it all goes downhill from there.
So she has a possessed scarf.
She has a possessed scarf, and it's a boss rush game.
I see.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm not going to link anything, but if you're really curious as to how weird this game is, go look it up on YouTube.
The first line about character descriptions is for the oldest sister, and it says, Spirit, the oldest sister, always wanted to be a ghost. So
Yeah.
the demon turned her into one.
I forget what
That's
her boss fight
not a
entails.
healthy ambition, really.
No, that means I want to die.
One of them wanted to be a mummy.
Her boss fight is incredibly strange. It involves throwing babies at her. No, I'm not kidding.
I'm
Anyway.
not sure how to respond to anything that I'm hearing.
Very, very,
I don't
very
know.
strange game.
I'm reading all this stuff for the first time, Fern. And I must say, people that want to be toy fishes are not exactly on the higher priority end of something that sells a game for me.
No. So yeah, each of those sisters is a very strange boss. Anywho.
Loves to spin around and play outside. She became a bird-like gyroscope with wings.
I forget what her boss fight entails.
What?
I'm on the Wikipedia page reading the character descriptions.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say. Anyway,
Yeah.
oh, Ari, did you see that Capcom is going to put a Devil May Cry 5 panel at PAX West? Where
Not.
supposedly they will reveal stuff.
They will reveal a stuff.
What
They'll
dates
reveal
are
that stuff.
PAX?
The
What dates
panel
are-
in particular is going to be August 31st.
Oh, coolio.
And you'll get some news.
Get some answers.
It is Capcom, so they might just be lying, but
It'll probably
That's
just raise
true.
more questions.
As long as we see somebody with a controller in their hand pushing buttons, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Other games
You know,
that were
since it's not
announced. Let's move this on, shall we?
yeah, the thing that is, I just need to say this. The thing that is inextricably associated with DMC5 now for me is the Pull My Devil Trigger memes.
Oh,
Like-
but the terrible dancing animations.
Like, there's really no way of getting away from that now.
No, that meme,
Like-
the terrible dancing Dante and Nero meme, has grown to completely ridiculous levels.
It's not even the dancing specifically, it's just the absurdity of Pull My Devil Trigger. It just gets attached to everything now.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, like something is always getting bigger. Bang, bang, bang. Pull your something trigger is a meme now.
Yeah. Usually
I
in a
should not find it this funny, but I do.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. Anyway, new game that was also announced is not really announced. It's a new game in the works by Arxis and Swery. It's
What?
a game called The Missing.
Oh, right, this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the trailer for this. It looked like a dude talking at a camera, so I didn't watch it.
Swery is one of those very, very strange auteur developers that seem to pop out of Japan every now and again.
Yeah, the 5 seconds of maybe teaser content we got in the trailer looked very surreal, and there was a radio tower and a blood drop and a subway tunnel, and that was it.
Yep, that sounds about right.
So we don't really know anything.
Jeez. What else did this guy make? D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, Lord of Arcana, Lord of Apocalypse. So there's a few games he's made in the past that people have probably heard of.
But they've all been weird, sweary games.
Incredibly weird sweary games, yes. Good grief, he made games for the Neo Geo. Why?
Why are we giving a guy that made Neo Geo games a chance again?
So yeah, that's a thing that's coming in the works. We don't know a whole lot about it, but it's coming. And one last game, which I actually missed last week because I wasn't paying attention properly, is Persona Q2. It's Persona Q, except with Persona 5 characters in it now.
Please.
And a
no
terrible
Etrian.
map system.
I really
Please.
hope not.
Less Etrian Odyssey, please. I know we can't separate it entirely, but just less of it. Just give us less. I don't want a Strange Journey again. I suffered through that whole thing 3 times to get the endings. I don't want to do it again, Fern.
I know, right? There is one other neat little thing they've included in this, aside from the Persona 5 cast, is also the female protagonist from Persona 3 Portable.
Oh, right, she's a thing.
She's a thing
I
now.
keep forgetting I'm supposed to be mad that she's not included in anything.
Well, you
It's
don't
a
have
meme
to be
at this
anymore.
point.
Now she's included.
Yeah, I see her on the picture.
Yep.
I kind of like the meme that she's not included in anything. It gives her kind of more character than she should really have, and it makes it funny. I kind of
So
wish
hold
she-
on. So what's going to happen? Like, are all the characters from Persona 3 going to like not know who she is, or are they all going to know her and the male protagonist and not know why they don't know both of them, or why they know both of them, or what?
I don't know. How is that going to work exactly?
Or she's just going to be, I'm alternate universe that guy. Don't worry about it.
I'm
the
Dor-chan.
canon explanation. Yeah. The canon explanation is that Elizabeth and Minato are the ones from the canon universe that goes through Persona 4, Persona 5, and Theodore and Door Girl are the ones that exist in some alternate universe that also exists simultaneously because Velvet Room is weird.
So, yeah, the excuse is Velvet Room, basically.
Yeah, Velvet Room is weird.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's their usual get out of jail plot for a lot of these things, I suppose. So, keep in mind, though, this is the other big hurdle I had with Persona Q. The first was the map system, which was atrocious. The other one is the cast size. Now, it throws at you...
No.
Persona Q, the first, threw at you initially the entire cast of either Persona 3 or Persona 4, depending on which you picked. And then it threw the other cast at you not too far down the line. Now, this is 29 active party members. So,
That's a lot.
that's a lot.
But I mean, like, Suikoden had more than that.
It did. That it did. I've always meant to go back and try and play those games, but I can't find them anywhere.
I'm in the wrong boat to complain about this one, Fern, because it's my pet franchise. So
So there's a lot
These
of
complaints are all
redundancy.
FGO has lots of characters.
It does, but you only never really need to use a handful of them and make fun of the rest.
Well,
So-
I get stalked by some of them, so.
Yeah, I guess you could just play it safe in Persona Q and start off with just using your standby team for whichever Persona you've played last, and then substitute the others in. I guess. But yeah, there was an awful lot of redundancy and, frankly, just option overload.
Yeah, I suppose the issue is really that, functionally speaking, there's a lot of the same character.
Yeah. Yeah, there are.
Like, because, I mean, realistically, all of the supports are the same character. All of the healers are the same character. Like, they don't really have niches per se.
No, they really don't. Although,
wait,
I'm just trying to think who... Well, there's complete redundancy, like Morgana and... I'm drawing a blank on her. The healer from Persona 3. First girl.
Fuka, what?
Not Fuka.
Mitsuru?
No.
No.
Ikari.
Sentai one.
Yukari, thank you. Mitsuru was
Like-
let's ruin your run-through girl. Yeah.
Yeah, I was distracted by the DLC announcements for this game when I was flipping through the trailer. This is terrible.
Already?
They're putting all the best. Yeah, they're putting all the best background music behind DLC paywalls.
Why would you do this?
Like Life Will Change, Last Surprise, Reach Out for the Truth, Mass Destruction, Wiping All Out. Like Time to Make History. All this stuff is DLC.
what's going to be in the actual game?
Presumably a fresh
Not-
soundtrack.
It's gonna
None
be
of the
pulled by
main
Devil
battle
Trigger.
themes, apparently.
It's going to be pulled by Devil Trigger.
Yeah.
Frustration is getting bigger.
I admit I kind of like the battle theme out of Persona Q, especially the way how it changed depending on which protagonist you had in the lead. But yeah.
But all the battle themes from the main games are DLC.
Yeah. Yep, enjoy that.
Including the Mindaka remixes. What? I'm done. Persona Q's a terrible series.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
you're going to play it anyway, because you
Right.
won't be able to
I
stop
know.
yourself in the end.
I know. I'm fully aware. I'm gonna hate
Even,
myself for it the
even
whole
with
way
the
through.
awful map system and all that other stuff,
I am
you're
well
still
aware.
going to 100% it.
I'm getting the pliers ready to peel my toenails off right now.
Oh,
I know I'm
joy.
going to do it. But it's not. I don't have to be happy about it, and I don't have to subject other people to it. I can warn them away from it. Do not let my masochism be an example, folks. I do this because I must, not because I want y'all to.
Yep. And I think that's everything we have for this week. Anything else? No? Yes? No?
No.
Maybe?
No,
All of these thoughts running through my head.
I can't seem to find any caster gems.
Right. That sounds like good cue to start winding things down.
All right. This show's length is getting bigger. We should bang, 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 get the out of here trigger.
Oh, you had to do it.
I'm just going to ruin it by making as many terrible jokes.
This is about the only way to defuse a meme.
By killing it just through
Yeah,
oversaturation.
you've just got to plow it straight into the ground.
That's the best way to do it.
This is going to go terribly.
All right,
That's
folks.
what we do at this show.
Terrible. We do terrible.
We do. I am sick as a dog, like dying sick this whole show. So I think we're going to wrap up. Email topic of the week, any of the new games we talked about that might be coming out, maybe. There you go. I'm too sick to think of stuff right now. I'm absolutely losing my mind. All right.
Pull my Devil Trigger. You could write about that.
Bang, bang.
Don't watch the actual music. It's quite bad. It's
Yeah.
not funny bad either. It's just like edgy, like nasty bad.
Yee. Anyway.
So yeah, we're done, folks. We will see y'all next week. Sayonara. Bye-bye.